Welcome to Recap with Mac for the week of July 11th. Welcome back, Jen.
Thank you. Glad to be back. Glad to be back. My mom is doing very good. She got
From
her new hip, her bionic hip.
Okay, Mac. Let us know what's going on in the kratom industry legislation and probably a little drama sprinkled into.
Well, sure. We had the announcement by the Department of Health and Human Services for a open comment period for the rules that were published by the Drug Enforcement Administration. Two separate rules, one dealing with metrogenine, 7-hydroxymetrogenine, and the levels at which it is designated as a controlled substance. So there are specific threshold levels. And the second deals with the components or compounds that are generated from 7-OH, metrogenine, pseudodoxil, and of course the follow-on MGM 15 and 16 products. So that was great news because it's been percolating at the DEA for quite a while. I think that the notices that were published illuminated some of the delays and the discussions that took place between HHS and DEA. That helps, obviously, for us to understand better about what they were struggling with. And it's consistent with what we had heard, that they were really looking at making sure that they had sufficient evidence that's required under the Controlled Substances Act in order to justify the scheduling. And for temporary scheduling, they have three specific criteria of the 8. That it's 4, 5, and 6, which really deal with the addiction liability and the public health threat. Because that's why it's an emergency temporary scheduling. So those rules will likely be published on 30 days from now, finalized in the Federal Register by the DEA. There is a possibility that the HHS comment period would influence a delay in the publication of the 7-OH rule at the threshold levels while they evaluate whether or not there is any kind of comment from a legitimate scientist. And I think that's an important criteria because we all know that the 7-OH people are off their gourd with misleading people doing what they did when they introduced products into the marketplace. Now they're trying to again mislead consumers about what that HHS comment period means. But I think that in 30 days, we're relatively certain that you're going to see certainly a final publication of the temporary protective order, or I'm sorry, temporary order of scheduling on the metrogenine, pseudodoxil, and the MGM 15 and 16, and within a day or two, or maybe a little longer than that, you would potentially see a delay, but you'll still see the metrogenine 7-hydroxymetrogenine levels be informed with a publication too. Anyone who thinks that this is not going to happen is they're dreaming pipe dreams, because it is. This was well developed. It has been studied extensively, and it would take some cataclysmic event for this not to schedule. And I know that the 7-OH people are saying, oh, we can replicate what happened in 2016. That is utter nonsense, because none of the elements that were present in 2016, which allowed for the successful challenge of the then FDA rule, submitted to the DEA, are present today for 7-OH. And that's the important criteria. It's about 7-OH. And then the last thing I'll say is the claims that are being made and that are spreading like wildfire, that this is going to lead to the scheduling of natural kratom leaf, is again a fear tactic being used by the 7-OH people, because again, this is a scientific process. It is not a political process. And if you look back at what happened in 2016, no one could have said it better than Dr. Giroir when he reviewed the full 8-factor analysis provided by the FDA, and he characterized it as embarrassingly poor evidence and data and a failure to consider the overall public health. I assure you that the FDA, HHS, and DA learned their lesson, and they have bolstered this thing with good science, and they know what they're doing, and they're not going to, the 7-OH community are not going to be able to use the argument that they don't have adequate science. They do. They're not going to be able to use the legislature, in this case the Congress, to write in, because we had the premise in 2016 of a plant material that had been used for centuries, that had been used in the United States safely since just after the Vietnam War. You had a long history of use, and you had the important date of October 15th of 1994, which is the threshold date in the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, that anything that was in commerce prior to that date was grandfathered in on the DSHEA provisions. Now that's important because there were no 7-OH products that were on the market in the form that they were created in 2021, and then the big market splash in 2023. So no one is going to be able to go to a member of Congress with a straight face and think that they can tell the lie to that member of Congress to convince them to send a letter to the DEA saying, oh, this is a natural kratom leaf product. This is what 7-OH wants to say. It is a crusade being led by the likes of Michelle Ross, who repeatedly says that incorrect statement that the natural kratom and 7-OH are the same. She says that the documents that were key to the 8-factor analysis produced by Dr. Jack Henningfield cleared both metrogeny and 7-OH. Well, I'm sorry, Michelle, not at the levels at which these synthesized products are on the market today. But she wants everyone to ignore that. This is and then she wants me to say, she criticizes me daily. Well, why don't you call me doctor? Well, earn it. For goodness sake, go out there and just repeatedly tell things that aren't true about the way that this scientific framework is reviewed, how it's evaluated by experts in public policy and public health. So that's really interesting. But again, they just try to hide the ball. This is all about, oh, well, look over here quick before you have to evaluate what's really happening. And so, and it's permeating, unfortunately, some segments of what used to be natural kratom leaf consumers, who now have converted to being the 7-OH consumers, who are frantic, panicked. And I get it. I mean, my Lord.
I get it too.
They got sucked into this opioid. They're hooked on it. And now they're just trying to defend it. And I empathize with them. But they should quit blaming the AKA for blowing the whistle on an unsafe opioid and start blaming the people that put these products in the market in the first place when they violated federal law in doing it. And they know that the enhanced chemical manipulation of these products led to the production of a street drug. And they just legitimized it by putting in fancy packages, and they shipped it out there as though it's natural kratom leaf product. They called it kratom. And yet what they know what it was. It was the same thing you're peddling on the street corner. And they just dressed it up. So they got caught. And now they're in the panic mode, and they're trying every trick they can. And it's the way to characterize a trick to deceive consumers in the 7-OH community, try to rally to do what happened in 2016 in 2026. And it's not going to happen because you don't have the predicate. And I would say the last element of what was present in 2016 that's not true today, and that is that we had as our champion Senator Orrin Hatch, who himself at the time had established himself as the leader in the Congress for dietary supplement and botanical products. He was a consumer of kratom products, and he believed in it, and he understood the benefits it provided. I don't think, now I could be wrong, I don't think there's a member of Congress today who's hooked on 7-OH as an opioid that's going to be that same champion, because there's no one that's even in the same position, has established themselves as the expert on these issues. And I don't think anyone wants to say to the DEA, hey, I'm an opioid addict on 7-OH, so I'm telling you not to do this because it won't mean anything. And that's the bottom line. So, lots of interesting things that are happening. And I know that it's been almost an earthquake shock to some of the advocates in the 7-OH community who have been advocates for it, thinking that it would not lead to this, that this wasn't going to happen. They were just convinced that when the announcement was made last year in July, that this was all blown over. They were lying to themselves, because this clearly was being done in a very deliberate fashion by the DEA, and they did it right, and that's evidenced in the documentation that they submitted. And so the people that pretend to be, oh, we're not 7-OH advocates, but who constantly say, but we think people should be able to make their individual choices. Well, I don't know. Do we let people go down on the street corner and buy cocaine and fentanyl and say that's just your individual choice? No, we protect them. And yet people like Madeline Sklar over at 7-OH Gals, along with her group of these, on our podcast, all saying, oh, we don't, well, not all of them. Some of them say, we don't take 7-OH, but we think everyone should have their own choice. And some are taking 7-OH. One works for a 7-OH company. To say anyone that listens to their podcast, and I have, and just listens to the body of evidence, knows that they are championing 7-OH. They can't hide from it. They can't mask it. It's what they're doing. And those people are deceiving the consumer public that they claim that they're trying to protect. And that's really unfortunate, because they've lost their way. And I get it. They don't like me, and I get it. They'll have now that I've said this, they'll have another hour and a half conversation about how Mac Haddo, the lobbyist, is attacking them. I am certainly calling them out for what they have done to damage the natural kratom leaf community in terms of its understanding of what is actually going on in the public policy realm, and deceiving people that say, hey, it's okay for you to take 7-OH. No problem. You think it's good for you, take it. We're these libertarians that think it's all wonderful. And Matt will say, oh, he called me a libertarian, like that's something really amazing. She's deceiving the public when she tells people that, because taking a 7-OH product is not something that's without consequence. It is an opioid. It acts like an opioid. It has the signature opioid effects. And that's true across the board for the 7-OH people who continue to try to promote this product as a wellness product. You should have the right to do this. And you heard it from the 7-OH advocates, not just Michelle Ross, but you've got the other people that are all part of that advocacy team. And it's very disappointing that they're doing that, because they're setting it back. And here's the capstone argument. It's going to lead to natural leaf being scheduled. The barrier to that happening is an 8-factor analysis that's required by the Controlled Substances Act. There is no way that anyone could reasonably conclude that an 8-factor analysis would contradict what the body of science, including the FDA dose finding study, including the NIH finding through an institution review board clearing a human study on a purified metrogenine to help people with opioid use disorder, could not have happened without a documented safety profile. So it will never happen with the current body of evidence, which keeps growing in our favor, for there to be scheduling under the Federal Controlled Substances Act. They are making it up. They're just trying to gin up an argument to try to sow discord within the community. And I see it. I see it on Reddit, some of those comments. And here's the bottom line on that. You've got the 7-OH community out there telling people, go and sign the comment for the HHS Assistant Secretary for Health. It is not supposed to be comments of personal testimonials for people that are using 7-OH. It is not a forum for them to say, I use 2 grams, or I use 30 grams, or I use 100 grams. That is not what it is supposed to do. It is a scientific inquiry as to what the safe levels are if they are higher than what the DEA scheduling requires. And that's the bottom line. But then on the Reddit, they're saying, oh, well, you can sign it as many times as you can just by going anonymous, by creating new email addresses, make up a name. They're advocating for that. And someone had the absolute gall to say, oh, well, the AKA did the same thing back in 2016. And then they published the webpage for the AKA where it encourages people to sign a petition to the White House. It was the We the People White House platform, of which 140,000 people signed. And in that particular appeal, it says sign only once. It doesn't tell people to sign multiple times. It doesn't tell people to go out and make up a name and fake an email address. It doesn't tell anybody that. And have you heard Seven Hope Alliance tell people don't do that?
To stand down?
When there was a question that arose about an advocacy campaign in a city in Kansas, the mayor of the city accused the AKA of doing exactly what they just described with the 7OH people. And I came out, and the AKA publicly rebuked anyone who did that and said, we absolutely do not condone this. And you can disregard the public comments if you choose to do so, because we won't tolerate that kind of nonsense. But the 7OH people do, because they desperately need every fictitious ghost voice they can in order to make it appear that they have a this strong following. So my opinion, and we will be formally sending a letter to the Assistant Secretary for Health and to every member of Congress, alerting them to this deceptive practice that's being used by the 7OH people to not only comment on the HHS Secretary's comment page, but also their appeal to try to send emails to the U.S. Congress, because they should disregard those comments unless they can verify the email address as being a real person, not a ghost person, not a person that says, oh, I've done it 3 times already. I mean, what are these people thinking? But maybe it's the behavior of someone who's addicted to an opioid and they're desperate. I get that.
Yeah, I mean, when you do stuff like that, you do shady stuff like that.
Yeah. You do immoral things. I was once that person, not on 7OH, which I'm so thankful that 7OH wasn't around in 2019 when I found Kratom, because I was just coming off the heels of active addiction with opioids, so I know their mindset. I can place myself in their shoes right now.
Yeah, I mean, it just couldn't stay the way it was. I mean, it just could not stay the way it was.
Yeah, and Melly Mel says, I don't think it should be scheduled, but it's got to go. How else can it go without it being scheduled? There's no pathway for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one part of this that I actually have great empathy for, and that is a requirement under the Controlled Substances Act that when you schedule it, a possession becomes a felony.
Yeah.
And we are working with congressional offices now to prepare an amendment that would, in fact, exempt possession with respect to this rule, because we don't think consumers should be held accountable for what the 7OH manufacturers did. Now, I am certain that when Michelle gets done watching this broadcast today, Michelle Ross, that she will come out and say, oh, we're not doing that. He's accusing us of doing something we're not doing. But what they have not done, and they know it's happening, they haven't said, don't do it. And that's the beef I have with them. They started it. They advocated for people to go on and do something that's not contemplated by the rule or by the public comment solicitation itself, which is to make personal testimonials, to put themselves in a position that the comment period doesn't anticipate. They're not experts. They're not scientists. And unless they've got something to contribute at that level, they shouldn't be commenting. But they're the ones who triggered this. And then they'll say, oh, we didn't say to them to do that. Well, you didn't say no. So.
And they're still, using the scare tactics, saying that Kratom is going to be scheduled in 30 days. No, it's not. And I keep getting comments from people saying, oh, well, you think that your little leafy, green sludge is going to be safe. You got one thing coming. I
will dedicate my life to making sure Kratom gets banned if 7OH goes.
That's what they say.
Here.
Tons of comments say that.
Yeah, I know. And listen, my heart goes out to them. They will find the next manipulation and tweak that the 70H community, because those manufacturers don't give a damn
It's
about
cat's claw.
they give a damn about the money they're making, and so they'll find another option. And so for those people that are that desperate, that are now into that drug addiction cycle, because that's what 70H is, they'll find another product to use. The unfortunate part of this entire scenario is all of this could have been corrected
Yeah.
if 70H manufacturers had met the federal standard prior to market entry, which is straightforward. You have to have a reasonable basis of safety prior to market entry, and that means under conditions of use or labeling. That's your serving size. So if they had just put in a little time, but they weren't interested in that, and you heard Vince Sanders answering a reporter's question when she said, "Is it true that you don't have any signs?" He goes, "Well, yeah, that's true, but we're relying upon the consumer experience." So you put the product out there, you treat your customers as guinea pigs,
Mhm.
psychoactive substance, which is highly chemically manipulated into an opioid with foreseeable consequences, and you say, "We're going to see how it plays out." And then
I
he
think
has,
he would. I think he was he knows he was lucky that it went on as long as it did.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I think so, and I think it was all about the mighty dollar. And think about this: the DEA has now announced that there will be a temporary scheduling effective in 30 days. That's announced. Instead of taking the 30-day period for the purpose for which it was embedded in the law, which is to allow for manufacturers to shut down their manufacturing, distributors to remove the product, and for retailers to send the product back to get reimbursed. Instead of doing that, every one of the ads you see, "Hey, keep buying, load up, store it."
15% off if you show me that you commented to the
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're offering discounts for people who show proof that they sent a comment in.
Yep.
Well, I don't mind that. I don't like it, but I don't mind it. I think that's a tactic for advocacy. There's a question about whether you're bribing someone, but I know that people in the natural kratom leaf consumer community did something that was interesting, which I thought was very effective. Back in 2016, there were retailers that would remember we didn't have access to QR codes and the real sophisticated platforms we have today. They put black covers over their kratom products, and when the customers came to the cash register, they said, "You should sign up to oppose the scheduling recommendation."
Mm.
So I thought that was an interesting tactic, and to my belief is that that's almost fair. I don't mind that part of it. They want to bribe.
But no, listen, Mac, there is not an inquiry for personal testimonies. They're just, it's for scientific inquiry, right? So why are you offering a discount code to submit your personal testimony?
Well, no, I agree with that because it's not intended for that. If that includes them commenting in an email to their member of Congress or senator, that's fine with me. Let them do it. But don't do it where you're replicating them falsely so that it inflates your numbers.
Mm.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Let it be a person. Let it be someone who actually has skin in the game, actually is concerned about this issue. And I don't mind them having their voice. And I don't mind the criticism that comes with all this if it's legitimate. But tell me, am I going to believe anything I read anymore from anyone on Facebook or on Reddit and thinking that's not a fake person? Because they're doing this. And the people sitting in the command center at the 70H community aren't saying anything about it because what? It benefits them. And I think it would have been ethical. It would have been important to say, we need integrity in this process. Now, I hope after we've criticized them, and we're going to make it loud and clear to both the secretary at HHS and to members of Congress that this is a farce. They'll come out and say, "Oh, well, you guys shouldn't do that." Well, I hope they do that, but I think the cat's out of the bag right now, right? Because everybody now knows that's the way to do it, and they're going to fake it. How could anyone rely without going through an expensive verification process? Because that's what they would have to do to say that's really a valid signature. Now, it's like cleansing the voter rolls. Are we going to get to the point that you're going to have to show your license to make a comment? I mean, this kind of behavior forces everybody into thinking about how we're going to do that kind of thing.
This cat's out of the bag thing has been the entire process from beginning to almost end.
Yeah.
Well, the cat's out of the bag. Let's openly, let's try to regulate it after the fact, after we done created a whole population of addicts. It's
Well,
like
they hadn't even tried to regulate it, though. I
they
mean,
have
all
not.
they've done is increase the dosage and increase the
names.
yeah.
So what 708 should do is to hire Robin Graham, and she could describe how many people are really for their particular issue. She answered, and I've forgotten the names of the people. They're very nice people from New Hampshire that just moved to Florida that are in the kratom business.
Sarah and Dan.
Sarah and Dan. Dan asked the question, and it was a legitimate question on the 708 Gals podcast. Said, well, how many people showed up in Washington at the rally in 2016? Wasn't it 200,000? Now, Robin Graham sat there with a straight face and said, actually, it was 200,000. What was she on 708? What is she talking about? Now, what it does, it diminished the advocacy of a passionate group of kratom advocates that were a couple of hundred. You can't be off that far without it being deliberate or you being completely dumb. I don't know what the answer is to that, but she never corrected it. And I tried to get on. Now, I am banned on the 708 Gals podcast. I tried to make comments last week, and I've got the screenshot of it. Madeline Sklar removed me from the comments.
Well, you're not the only one.
Yeah,
apparently,
super fun quiz time.
He said he didn't criticize anyone, just criticizing 708. So
yeah, so the 708 Gals that are not for 708 remove anybody who contradicts their 708 narrative, and now you've got a cabal of people that think that this is the way that you handle public policy discussions. You censor people. Dean Francis has done it. He's removed me from any of the LinkedIn accounts. I mean, if you can have a robust and legitimate discussion and you can disagree, but when you can't play the game in terms of being able to rationally debate some issue and you think that the solution is, we'll just eliminate them. So when he deleted me from his account, all of my comments on every one of his posts went away, and he literally thought, well, that's the end of Mac. Well, I'm sorry, he doesn't know me.
I saw your post about that.
I didn't.
I mean, what is he thinking?
And then you followed up with the "Where's Waldo" post. Where's Dean?
Right.
And I'm like, which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?
Well, I think what happened here, and I don't know for certain. I think what happened, he saw that I was getting very close to being able to authenticate the 911 call, and I have done that. He is afraid that that's going to become very public across all of these platforms, and he thinks by blocking me and eliminating all that discussion, it won't be as relevant. He's wrong, because he's made this a cause celeb, and the 911 call is relevant only to this extent. Obviously, it's horrible that he's suffering through this particular experience with his son, but it was in December of 2025 when he put down the smack on us and said my son was addicted to natural leaf kratom products. It had nothing to do with extracts or chemically enhanced products. It was, meaning in the past. And then while in the middle of his crusade with the Virginia legislature, where he had his son testify and say, this was natural leaf kratom products, and I'm clean. I'm clean. Then in April, I think it was April 1st, he has a 911 call where he's pleading for help with his son who had just come into his home, had drunk a fifth of whiskey. He claims in the 911 call he found other bottles, meaning he had drunk more than a fifth of whiskey. It appeared in a short proximity to when he was coming in, that his behavior was threatening and he was hallucinating, that he bumped his mother. Dean describes to the 911 operator that his son is searching for his car keys. He doesn't want him to find them because he'll kill someone if he's driving in the state that he's in. He's hallucinating, he's obviously drunk, and he's intoxicated. And then here's the best part of it. Did he say it's that natural kratom leaf stuff? No. He said it's 7-OH.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden he's scrambling and he's saying, oh, well, natural leaf was the precursor to it, that it was the gateway to it. What nonsense. That is a new fabrication of what his former narrative was. And it's just, it's terrible for his family. But he stepped out. He's the one that made this into a public issue. He's the one that's telling members of the Virginia legislature something that is factually incorrect. And the worst part of it, he and his son are sitting with the governor of the state of Virginia in a ceremonial signing where they imposed an onerous labeling requirement in Virginia law, which we think is going to get overturned. It's inconsistent with federal law, and it really isn't justified by what he was selling.
The opioid-like withdrawal, that really irked me.
From natural kratom leaf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe the reason there are opioid-like withdrawals from what his son was addicted to is because it was 7-OH.
Yeah.
And I don't have to prove that. He proved it. He said it in the 911 call. So, this is as tragic as those circumstances are, and I think this is replicated across the kratom danger awareness people. They're people that just simply want to hunker down into one narrative. They don't want to look at the facts, and it's evident by the kratom danger awareness people saying to all of their people, do not show autopsies and tox screens. And the reason that they don't want you to see them is they say it's none of our business and that we'll mischaracterize them. No, the medical examiners and coroners who made those evaluations are the ones who mischaracterized the cause of death. And then they say, how can you doubt? How can you possibly assault the integrity of medical examiners and coroners?
Like they just never been wrong.
No. So the answer to that is found in 2009. There were 9 deaths in a 12-month period that were evaluated independently by 9 separate forensic pathologists in the country of Sweden, who all came to the conclusion that kratom killed those 9 people. And it was a consolidated research effort 2 years later done by independent researchers that found that every single one of those deaths were O-desmethyltramadol caused. The natural kratom leaf product was spiked with O-desmethyltramadol. So I've got nine forensic pathologists who were wrong. Then you look at the 44 deaths that the FDA used in their 2018 Federal Register notice on the kratom being dangerous. 44 deaths. We FOIA'd them, got 43 of them evaluated by an independent forensic toxicologist in Jane Babin. She evaluated those 43, and it was her conclusion it was shoddy work by those medical examiners. It was shoddy for the FDA to even use them because none of them, not a single one of them, was justified as kratom cause of death. You had deaths caused by a hanging, where the kid had mental health problems, had on multiple substances. They called it a kratom death. You had a kid who drowned, and they said it was a kratom death because kratom was detected in their system. It went on. And then you had one kid that Googled kratom, did not even have kratom in his system in the tox return, Googled it.
And then if I remember correctly, I remember reading one story of the husband. So the wife tried to commit suicide by drinking or taking a whole bottle of Tylenol. And they asked the husband what she was on, and he told him it was kratom. So that was another death.
And then you have the infamous one when we finally got the 44th death report. And that's where the kid was in the middle of a drug sting. The snitch jumped out of the car as soon as the cops surrounded the car. Cops ordered the dealer of drugs out of the car. He refused, reached in his pocket. They thought he was going for a gun, and they shot him. He died of 2 gunshot wounds to the chest. The FDA called that a kratom death. This is how bad. Now we have the 9 forensic pathologists who were wrong. You have the 44 deaths that were wrong. We have the 43 deaths identified in the Tampa Bay Times, which were evaluated by Marilyn Eustace, one of the premier forensic toxicologists in the world, and she found all of those to be ridiculous. You had one guy who was found in some kind of an elevation board that was hanging upside down after he died for a couple of days, and they called that a kratom death. And he had multiple drugs in his. I mean, this goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And then you have the Ohio episode where the coroners and 2 of them in Ohio called it a kratom death. And when we sued them, they had to pony up the evidence, and they settled. They said, "Oh, well, we now we look at new evidence." So, could we or should we dare to question the results of a coroner or medical examiner? And then there's Patty Wheeler. Patty Wheeler, who reported based on the evidence she had. By the way, I understand that she believes it, and I believe all these families believe it. By the way, they're sincere.
Yeah.
They're just wrong. Patty Wheeler reports to the investigators for the medical examiner that her son was consuming massive amounts of metrogenine prior to his death. And so the coroner, or the medical examiner, I think in Texas it's called, they called it a kratom death. And when the tox screen came back, kratom was detected along with, I think, 10 other substances, 10 others. Kratom was not at a level that was detectable or quantifiable.
Yeah.
It just positive. Now, how does that reconcile with the claim that her son had ingested massive amounts of metrogenine? So you can see that there are mistakes made. Now, should there be better evaluations? Absolutely. The CDC report, when they look in 2019, when they reported the 91 deaths that were, kratom related, and of which 7 were kratom only, the CDC report said we need better post-mortem investigation protocols that are standardized, because you get these medical examiners and coroners, the saints, according to the KDA, they're just not doing it right. And so the CDC offered it, and then they cited the New England Journal of Medicine report by a group of scientists in Colorado that looked at 15 kratom deaths in a certain time period, and they found that of those 15, 4 were reported to be kratom only. And so they asked for the blood samples, of which there were 3 left. The 1 sample was unavailable. They tested those 3, and they found them to be polydrug use, just using a better piece of equipment than most coroners would not have. So now you've got, how dare you question a coroner or medical examiner? And
some of them only have a high school diploma.
For coroners, they're not required to have a medical
examiner.
But more importantly, they've attended some conference.
Mm-hmm.
They heard about kratom being the
media.
And boom, in the media.
Yeah.
And so, hey, if kratom's present, I'm going to call that a kratom death. Now, I think they're moving away from that more, but not all. And so there needs to be better accountability. So I don't question the belief that a family member has. And I know they get all wound up on this, and they say how terrible Matt Caddo, and the fact that the AK held a congressional briefing where we disclosed all of these families. Every single one of the deaths that we discussed were the family members taking their case to a state legislator or a local hearing and claiming kratom was the only thing. So what do we do? Sit down and say we agree with them when the facts don't support it? Do we just agree because we don't want to offend them, because they might feel bad? No, they weaponized their grief by using, incomplete or inaccurate talk screens. And all we did was show why there was a legitimate basis to question those talk screens.
Hold on.
I mean, at the end of the day, we all just want the truth. And as far as Dean goes, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard him talk to legislators or interviews, and him say specifically, "Oh, they hate me over there because Cameron was only addicted to whole leaf kratom."
Right.
And it wasn't the extracts, and it wasn't the 708. So, I mean, it is crazy for the 911 call to come out.
Yeah, and the
it's a
fact that
different
Dean's
story.
story changes so much. You know what? I feel so sorry for Cameron. I truly do. Like,
Yeah.
I can just see and picture what he's going through with his daddy Dean, and it's like, Dean is the problem. Like, you see this throughout life. There are narcissistic parents out here.
Yes.
And poor Cameron has got to be the black sheep of the family. Got to ruin Dean Francis's reputation because he went and did drugs, or drank alcohol. It's like, I feel so bad for Cameron.
He's a victim of being caught in this whole mess. I mean, and the problem at least in my opinion, is that whole experience isn't complete.
Yeah.
And why he yanked his son in the middle of what he just wanted to find a convenient blaming mechanism is just unconscionable to me. But you see it in other places too. We've got our good friend in Georgia, who is the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Commission on kratom exposures for youth. And he's now announced his second hearing, which I understand he is willing to let me testify. Wouldn't let me do it at the first. And that's going to take place on the 21st of August down in his hometown where he represents. So that'll be an interesting time, because when I ask him about how he accounts for, and he has multiple behaviors that are bizarre, but I ask him how he accounts for the big impetus for kratom youth exposures. What evidence is there that there is this
They
huge?
didn't even go over that during the Blue Ribbon.
No, because and he said, well, there was the problem up there at the school with the middle schoolers, right? And I said, oh, well, let's call in those emergency room doctors, because you had 5 kids that were taken to the hospital, 4 by ambulance from the school, 1 by a parent who heard about it. They show up in the emergency room. Each one had a separate ER doctor. Every single one of them, according to an email that we FOIA'd from the school administrator, where there was a confirmation by those doctors that they all agreed it was kratom. And the sheriff opened up a criminal investigation, because in the state of Georgia, it is illegal to sell a kratom product to a minor. All of this is transpiring, right? I said, hey, let's get him down here. Let's get the sheriff. Let's find out what he found. Why did he close his investigation? Of course, he did for a specific reason. And let's get these emergency room doctors. Well, I don't have any authority on those people. And of course, we all know, and I keep this handy all the time, that's what made these kids sick. You eat, particularly young kids, if you eat a large volume of sugar in a short period of time, you're going to experience nausea, dizziness. You'll feel like you're going to pass out. You may even pass out. Young kids, they say they can. This comes from the Mayo Clinic, by the way, and it was candy dots. And when they collected the material, sent it, and we asked the sheriff to do this, and he did, send it to the University of Florida, Chris McCurdy's lab, and they looked at it, and they came back and said they tested for 160 some drugs. There were no drugs present. There were dots, candy dots.
And, but the headlines sure didn't go correct that. I mean, the headlines we saw were kratom found in,
middle schoolers overdosed on kratom gummies or something like that. And they did not go and correct that at all.
No.
Tracy says Cameron now claims kratom started his substance abuse disorder. Oh,
right.
He started drinking to combat the withdrawal from kratom. No, that's not the series of events that I've investigated.
No.
He started taking kratom so that he didn't drink alcohol at the college frat parties. And then he started mixing kratom with alcohol because he found that combination worked really good on him.
Yeah, there's a lot of previous statements that aren't comporting with the facts now, and the stories are changing.
Yeah.
And again, there's a victim here. That this is something that should have been sorted out in private.
Yeah.
It's a family matter. It should not have been made public. And yet now you are on the national stage because you've got Dean Francis up on Capitol Hill misleading members of Congress with this story that's false. And so now we have to respond. And it's unbelievable. And remember, now we all have to remember that we don't have the benefit of God's whispering in our ear the way Dean Francis does.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He said to me, I don't understand it, but God has given me this intuition, and so I am rarely wrong. I mean, what the hell is he talking about? But he believes it.
Maybe he was on 7OH.
I don't know about that. I think it may be a deeper mental health issue. I don't know. I mean, this is why. Why do you even say things like that? Even if you think them, why would you say it out loud? Except that there's a level of narcissism that's just hard to comprehend. I don't understand it.
This is what I'm saying. I've seen it throughout my lifetime. And it's like you can break up with a family member. Cameron needs to get away from his dad. If Cameron wants to thrive and survive in life, get away from your dad. I am telling you this right now. I'm proof. Yeah. I didn't get away from my dad, but I have a family member that I cut off. I cut that family tree branch off. I'm like, that's it. No more.
Yeah,
Hell
sometimes
no.
you gotta do that. Sometimes, we can't pick and choose our family, who our family is, but sometimes it's best to walk away.
I don't know how to advise on this, but I've got a
Yeah.
grandson who's 4 years old, and he loves Batman. And he has a little Batman outfit that he likes to wear frequently. And when he's doing it, he'll come up to me and say, "Poppy," he said, "I'm Batman." And every time he says it now, I sing Dean Francis. I'm the champion of grace. I just can't. All he needs is a little outfit. I mean, this is like wacko.
Well, now he needs his Where's Waldo outfit on.
I couldn't
Okay,
resist
so
that because he's ghosted me now, and I just had to say something about it.
yeah, because the advocacy wise though, we have had one hell of a week. I have been accused multiple times by multiple different people that I am paid by the AKA to advocate. Someone rudely said it to me in a hearing. And then the 708ers come crawling into my TikTok comments to accuse me of that. Then I get it on Reddit. I am not paid
Oh
by
yeah,
the
the
AKA.
708ers, we're AKA shills that just
Yeah.
getting paid by the AKA. Get out of here.
It's like, oh, well, there's no way. Because you know what? I brag about this. Jen and I and Dr. Heidi and, Laura, all these other advocates, we have attended at least 300 hearings since July of last year when the first announcement came out about DEA scheduling, 708. We have attended at least 300 hearings. Someone on Reddit thought that the AKA is flying me to all these hearings. I just sat back and laughed when I got that comment. I'm like, there's virtual hearings here in this world. You would know that, but you're too busy over there trying to,
Yep.
get high off of 708.
Well,
And go and start stuff on social media.
Yeah.
I've been involved for 50 years in this advocacy game, and I've seen the evolution of the technology and how it impacts. And certainly, you're right, Misty, about there now are virtual hearings, and that makes it accessible to so many more people. But I think, and as I've seen, the emails came on board, right? That was better than writing a letter, easier than writing a letter. When the phone calls were allowed to the switchboard at the Capitol. I mean, that was always a good trick, but how do you convince people or tell people to do it? These are all challenges. But what we're seeing now is something I've seen from the day one. It doesn't matter what technology is involved. When somebody's wrong and someone can't answer the policy issues, they attack back with ridiculous claims that don't make any sense, have no basis of fact. It's just their reaction to it. It's unfortunately, a terribly human response, but the human response in that level comes from the dark side. They're desperate. They can't defend on policy. They can't make an argument that's coherent. And so I think that's the problem. And
yeah.
But the thing of it is that if I was paid by the AKA, I would be proud to say that I'm paid by the AKA.
Yeah,
I am proud
to hiding it.
I am proud to advocate with the AKA. And they were like, "Oh, well, we saw you working at the Champs booth in Vegas, at the AKA booth." That doesn't mean the AKA got me there, And then there's other times that I crowdfund to get myself to a hearing, like I did for Tennessee, like I did for Washington, D.C. last year. I will crowdfund for that. Any other time that I get out to where I need to go, I ask a vendor, and I don't have to promote the vendor's products. I feel like, yes, I'm respected enough and crazy enough, that we have this agreement that, hey, I respect you as an advocate. Let's get you to where you need to go. And you don't need to promote our products. Because I don't promote any products. I promote the GMP participants list because I literally rotate 4 vendors on there.
Well, and I think that's one of the arguments that the 708 community is trying to make. I mean, their whole narrative is, oh, well, this is competition between the industries.
Yeah.
Well,
oh God.
We started at the AK in 2019, raising the red flag about 708 in 2018 when we first formulated the Kratom Consumer Protection Act. And the first passage was in 2019 when there was no 708 around. We just saw the potential for there being a chemical modification to one of the metabolites in the plant and how that could be threatening. And by the way, we also said the same thing for kratom extracts. We said that you cannot use an industrial grade solvent that's not an FDA approved food grade solvent to extract your products. So this game that they play, they have to find a demon. And so they point to us and say, oh, well, you're just trying to protect the industry. I don't care if anybody buys kratom. I really don't. If they find it's useful for them, they should have the freedom to buy properly formulated, safely formulated, correctly labeled, and age restricted products. It's that simple. And guess what?
But then the 7-OH gals could tell you the same thing about 7-OH.
No, they can't, because you can't have a safely formulated 7-OH product, because the federal standard is you have to prove it by scientific evidence, not using consumers as guinea pigs. And they can say whatever they want. They are wrong. They know they're wrong. It's deliberately deceptive, and shame on them for doing so. But that's the game they play. It's all part of this, oh, well, let's all live and let live kind of strategy. And it's just not. It is not the right way to formulate good public policy that importantly protects consumers. And that's where we've been from the beginning. And we're going to end there. And we're not going to let these sideshows that have been created by, the 7-OH community and what comes next, because there'll be another next, we will continue to fight against them.
And I forever say this. I post this up all the time. I will not befriend or advocate alongside of you or something that is currently taking what is saving me down and what I advocate for. I didn't dedicate 7 years of my life to advocate for live and let live or freedoms for adults to use this, that, the third. I advocate for natural leaf kratom.
Yeah.
I have dedicated blood, sweat, and tears. I have traveled crisscross across this damn country.
Advocating alongside 7-OHers only confuses people even more. And that, I wouldn't do it anyway. That's like teaming up with the enemy.
Yeah, sleeping with the enemy. That's one of the comments I said. That's like sleeping with the enemy. That's like the Bloods and the Crips uniting for one front.
Yeah.
Like, what? No.
Yeah, it's silly.
Yeah, and there's no accountability to any of this. They think they can say something, and if no one challenges them, then they're right because they got away with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those circumstances where they have to be held accountable. They've been caught. The DEA has not trifled with this. This is not something that they just said rubber stamped from the FDA. As I said earlier, they learned their lesson. This is a well-documented, properly researched rule that is going to go into effect in 30 days, with one maybe exception to the level if there's scientific evidence on the 7-OH. That's it. And they're going to have to live with that. And while they can thrash around and they can try to protect their marketplace and they can try to, again, mislead the consumers of 7-OH products the same way they misled them in the first place to buy the products, calling them kratom, then God love them. They're well, I shouldn't say that, but Dean has that. Then,
I mean, I've even heard I've heard a couple of people mention like, well, it could even become illegal if kratom powder is just sitting out on the shelves. It's going to,
oxidize,
reduce and oxidize. And it's like, as well as I do, anybody that is not going to come out to be this massive amount of 7-OH that's in these products that are on the marketplace right now.
That's exactly that. The trace amounts that are generated by the natural oxidation procedure because of time takes a long time to get there, even if there is that kind of oxidation. That does not compare in any way to taking pull shock chemicals and baking soda, pouring it on the metrogeny powder and creating an opioid. I mean, this is the kind of gamemanship they play. And Michelle Ross, whom, she gets irritated. I don't call her doctor. I have not found a single peer-reviewed published article from Michelle Ross or Michelle Noonan, her former name, in the kratom space, right? If she's the expert, then why is she not a published? Now, she has one reference that was a letter, essentially a letter to the editor to a publication about kratom. That's not a peer-reviewed published article. That's just your expressing your opinion. I can do that. I haven't done it, but I think I will now so that I can call myself doctor. So then he can say she's doctor and she'll have to call me doctor. I mean, this is getting silliness. It's childish games. And yet she gets all irritated by, because I know one of my dear friends thinks that I should show her more respect too. And I get it, except that I want her to actually deserve and receive the respect that she has earned. And she hasn't done that yet. She's and you talk about these people say, oh, well, you're a paid advocate. Well, I am. You guys aren't. I am. Michelle Ross is. There's no doubt that when she's testifying, she's not doing it out of the goodness of her heart. She didn't get the welcome wagon collecting the money for it. She's there because 7OH paid her. And I understand that. I don't begrudge it, but she can't then turn the bony finger of blame at you and say, oh, you guys are paid, nonsense. So it's all about accountability.
There are passionate people still, left in this world. And, I don't know. I
don't know why that's so hard to believe.
It's like, are you actually telling on yourself because you're actually being paid? I'm not.
Just to give you an example, if you want to find a dumb person, a really, really, really dumb person, here I am. I have served as my HOA president for 24 years in my community.
Oh, God.
Now, why would anybody other than a very dumb person do that? And our community got involved in a lawsuit against the international data center companies. It was supposed to be the largest data center operation in the world that we were fighting against, and it truly was a David and Goliath battle. And in the middle of the court case, the data center people accused me of being on the take, that I was getting paid to do this. By whom? I'm the president of the HOA. I don't understand that, but people will make stuff up along the way. So that just happens. And I did it because I wanted to protect the value of our homes, the quality of our life, and all the proximity to, I'm not against data centers, but the proximity of these data centers would have created significant health problems for our community. That's why I did it. People can be legitimately empowered and become advocates because they believe in it. And they just want to miss that.
Yeah. It's like, like I said, first of all, I can't believe you're an HOA president. I can't stand HOA. Like, I really can't stand HOA.
I don't like HOAs, and I just wanted to make sure that the Gestapo wasn't coming to my door. That's why I did it. And
that's a good play. That's a good play. 20-some years later, yeah.
Well, my wife made me do it initially. She denies that now, but it's true. And now here I still am. Nobody will take the job. It should be court-ordered work release. I mean, it's just craziness.
I can't stand my HOA, and then I sometimes see those TikTok videos of people talking about HOA. Have you ever seen that? It's 5,000 Kelvin, Carl. Have you ever seen that video?
No,
I'm gonna have to show it to you later because I guess this guy has like these lights or something in his neighborhood, and it went to the HOA, and the HOA lady was like, "It's 5,000 Kelvin, Carl." It's funny, but I forgot what I was even going to say now.
Well, you were going to say that you believe what I said, that you can be impassioned about something that personally motivates you, and you don't have to be a paid hack for it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to put this into. They cannot understand that you would actually believe in something that helped you in your life. Mm-hmm. They think you have to be a paid person. And that's unfortunate because it dismisses the value of every voice that really steps up and fights for something they believe in.
Just like
I love that, Jeff. I love that. Kratom saved my life. Someone advocated for me before I knew Kratom was in danger. I am paying that back. That is exactly, Jen. I have pretty much said something like that before. It's like, thank you. Thank you to the advocates that saved Kratom when it was in danger. And the way that I'm paying it forward now is because of 7OH, Kratom was in danger, and so the way that we could pay it forward is to continue advocating for Kratom. 7O got to go. I'm sorry you got tricked into that. I'm sorry you got duped.
Yep.
Don't blame us advocates. You know, like I said, from pretty much ever since I started talking about it, this is why I didn't want to talk about it in social media, Mac. You know, and it's like, because I remember telling Tom this. I was like, at first, I was like, you know what? Because I already knew about 7OH before it became a thing on social media. And I was like, I didn't want to start talking about it because I didn't want to look like I was like reverse promoting it, you know. But then that one day, there was this one day I just said that I said, F it. I'm going to talk about it, you know. And the way I started talking about it was I was talking about the science or lack thereof. And boy, did I get attacked.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if you know about this story, Mac, but when I did that, they tried to cancel me. That my accounts got sent to the 7OH Reddit rat thread, and they were reporting my stuff. They were joking about getting me swatted, and this was one time when I was at the what was it last year? In February of last year.
Yeah.
I was on my way to Champs. I was on the plane on my way to Champs, and right before the plane took off, I couldn't, you know, because you get in the air and there's no Wi-Fi. So I couldn't put my accounts on private. I knew beforehand when the plane took off that my accounts were being reported. I was like, crap, there's nothing I could do. But they joked about getting me swatted. And it scared the crap out of me because I'm in Vegas trying to advocate for Kratom. And my kids are here at home. And I'm like, I'm thinking any second now the SWAT team's going to show up at my house.
Those horrible news stories of people that's getting pranked by getting swatted, and
someone gets killed.
Yeah.
You know, so I have been through the ringer with these people. Not only do I take a hit from KDA, I take a hit from 7OH people. I know you got it worse off than I do, Mac. You know, don't get me wrong.
No, I just got to deal with Dean. It's no problem. Now, you probably given him some advice how he can swat me or he can cancel me more than he's already done. So,
well, that right there could be more, you know, I don't even know the words I'm trying to say. That could be more for you could use that for more for your advocacy. Like you would want to believe, like tell that to the governor of Virginia, you know, if he wants to swat you, you want to take, you know, testimony from this guy.
Well, I of course I was kidding, but I think the issue here is that if you come to the public stage, you have to do with some basis of credibility, and you have to be accountable for what you say. And that's the difference. And here you have someone who got caught red-handed, and the story had to change. And unfortunately, the story change caught him, and now he's scrambling. And so instead of dealing with that, he, you know, deletes me from the LinkedIn accounts, and that's the only account we can use. We're going to be very active in having an open discussion. I really don't care about Dean Francis, the person. He's entertaining. You know, his statements are very odd, but the real issue is what the truth is. And he's out there peddling an untrue narrative about natural kratom leaf products being the same as 7OH, which he has to do now that he's confessed that his son was really hooked on 7OH. And he's out there peddling this nonsense that kratom is killing people. And he doesn't care about the science. He doesn't care. He castigates people like Chris McCurdy, who is one of the preeminent scientists in the world on kratom, and he calls him a paid hack. So you're in good company when they say that.
Well, the 7OHers have called him that too.
Yeah.
So what? Just because his science shows something that contradicts what they think or want to believe, and in this case, you get someone like Dean Francis, who I think is like the classic, you know, schoolyard bully, that he gets his way and he doesn't know what to do when someone fights back. And I think he's encountered a situation that's unusual to him, and he didn't know what to do with it. And so he's finally just shut down. I mean, I saw him come a little unhinged when he, in his rant back to me on one of the posts, he said, okay, I'll confess, Mac. Just saying ridiculously stupid things, but it showed he was unhinged. And I'm thinking, what triggered this? I don't know. One of my friends said, well, maybe he was drunk that night. Well, I don't know, but that certainly wasn't a coherent comment. It just was mocking. It was unintelligible. And I think it was wholly disrespectful. And I've tried to be respectful to him as best I can. on this, but he's taken it overboard. So we'll see. The bottom line here is we've got a job ahead of us. The natural kratom leaf community is not going to be thrown under the bus by these 7-OH masqueraders. This isn't Halloween. This is real world, and so we're going to show up. We're going to show up with the truth. It's not a bag of candy that you're going to offer someone to make them believe that you're right. They're not, and their candy, by the way, is an opioid. They're going to have to justify it based on the science, and they're going to have to come forward with real science. Not, by the way, not a survey that Michelle Ross did of 7-OH consumers. I'm not disputing surveys are valuable, but to use that as though it is the God's truth as
scientific evidence.
No, because I'll tell you absolutely who was not on that survey. I already know, and she won't confess to it. The people that died from 7-OH, they weren't on that survey. And the people that are in addiction recovery centers aren't on that survey because they generally don't let those people talk to people outside the world unless they're family members. So what you got was a filtered thing. Now, surveys can be very valuable, but they're not going to produce what she claims they're producing in terms of evidence to support the safety profile of 7-OH. That comes with clinical studies, animal studies, human clinical trials, if you choose to go that path. That's what needs to be done, particularly with an opioid that has the powerful effects that 7-OH does. So
they're going to, I know they're going to include that Beagle study of that poor drooling dogs. Because I haven't read any studies since that Beagle study.
So when's the last time you heard about the Beagle study?
It was years ago.
No,
it seemed like
years, but it's been a while, and it's because it wasn't credible.
Right.
And if it were credible, they would be touting that right now, front and center. They can't, because any professional researcher looks at that and laughs at their purported conclusions. So that's the conundrum they're in. They have no science. They want to rely upon a body of consumers that they're trotting out as being, truth of the safety of it, when that's not good science. That's not good research. And when you listen to their convoluted appeals to their advocates, and you just have to go on YouTube and watch their webinar where they're telling people to please comment on your on the HHS secretary's comment page, and just make sure you put in your level that you're using, because that's their hook to try to get under the requirement that it actually looks at what the level. It's supposed to be scientific, not a personal testimonial. And this was the hook, was to talk about the scheduling. They want the 7-OH people to write their members of Congress.
Yeah.
And we're going to be informing members of Congress about what a charade that is. It's not based on science, and that's the bottom line. So I got to run, but I appreciate you, as I've said many times, and we're going to continue this fight, and it wouldn't be possible without your great efforts. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mac.
Thank you too, Mac. Thank you.
I'm glad to. Thank you.
Okay, bye, Mac.
Bye, Mac.
So Jeff, Jeff, it was a Beagle study that the 7-OHers, I don't know who they paid to do that. I don't remember, but yeah, if I remember correctly, they were given the dogs like a certain amount of 7-OH, and then they started having central nervous system problems. But instead of starting the study over, I think this is what I'm saying. Don't quote me on this. I would have to go research after this, but I think that they just restarted it
under
a lower dose.
Yeah.
Instead of restarting the whole study.
Yeah.
So yeah, the dogs were drooling. The poor damn beagles, man. That makes me sad.
I guess like the beagle's body works.
It's similar to ours.
Yeah. Because I was wondering why they would use beagles also but yeah, they were touting that after it first happened, and then they realized,
it's quiet now. They done went tone deaf.
Oh.
Let me see. Yeah, Mike, I know Feel Free is a freaking problem.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's get rid of one thing at a time. Like 7-0, Feel Free. Like, man, I totally agree. Yeah, poor little beagles.
I know, but whenever people talk about their addiction to Feel Free, they don't never mention that there's a kava extract in it.
Ever.
Like, which one are you having problems with? Is it the whole leaf
Exactly.
kratom that's in there, or is it the kava extract? You can't tell me. So,
All right, I have to go pee real quick. I'll be
okay,
right back. Uno momento, por favor.
okay. I'm just trying to read the comments here. Yeah, Euphigenia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, whenever we stream, there'll be a landscape mode, and then it'll be a up and down. What's up and down? Vertical. Sherry says they busted a store yesterday for selling 7-OH. They took all his stuff. His town is banned from all kratom. They don't care. Man. A lot of these people, they don't care if they get busted. They really don't, because they're over there making tens of thousands a week. I just read a comment today talking about how, and this is where if you want to hear firsthand experience about what it's like to work at a smoke shop or a vape shop or anything like that, the smoke shop clerks or what have you, they will talk about how people will line up around the building before their store even opens, and you can this is what the comment said, you can clearly see that they're in withdrawal.
I love that Mac's able to do this with us.
Yeah,
they blame it on kratom every time. Are we talking about Feel Free or
probably the Feel Free one?
Yeah, all them influencers that got duped by Feel Free too. They're real quick to call it kratom every time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Majority of them were sponsored. It's like you got high on your own supply.
Well, and right before 7-OH really got big, like that was the big thing. We were, the science behind the kava and kratom thing.
I still don't even know if there's any updated science on what kratom does, what kratom and the mixture of kratom and kava in that bottle, or in any other, because there's multiple other kratom kava ones. And for me, I freaking love kava. I love kratom tea.
Yeah, I do too.
But going to Tennessee, which I crowdfunded for, by the way, for any of you haters that want to watch this shit, talk about AKA pays for me to get to these hearings. No, they don't. Anyway, when we went to Tennessee to go to that hearing, which we didn't get to testify because all of a sudden, the adjourn hammer comes down. Meeting adjourned. We went to the kava bar afterwards, and it was just kava. Having natural kava like that by itself,
yes, it was so cool.
It was such an experience. There was no head high. It was just more like a relaxing type situation.
Hey, I had to drive all the way back to Memphis.
Yeah, and you did in the storms, freaking storms.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, but it was cool to get to hang out with you and Jordan and
have that
Deborah,
that kava experience.
Dave.
Deborah wasn't there. Oh well, Deborah was at the hearing.
She
didn't come.
Kava place? Oh no,
that was Kel's.
Well, that was when you weren't there. Me and Deborah,
the other one.
Yeah, the other hearing. Okay, yeah, she was at the second one.
Yes, Ula. It is such an experience. Maybe, Jeff, do you plan on going to DC? I didn't even look to see if I didn't look when we were in DC if they have kava bars there, but that would be so cool for all of us to go to one.
It was a blue bottle called Feel Free. Yeah.
But now Feel Free has also made just a kava one, and I believe the kava one has a gold top because someone messaged me about it the other day.
Yeah, it does numb your mouth.
It does, Laura. Have you tried it? I didn't know you tried kava, Laura.
And the one we went to in Nashville is so fun because it was ran by, people that were at the hearings. They were advocating alongside of us. It just was a really cool, like, vibe.
It really was. I
Oh,
wouldn't
Lord.
drink it.
Good. Drink the whole bottle. You'll feel great.
That's what I meant to ask back about an update about the September 13th rally.
Yeah, I hope to go.
Yeah.
That's my birthday, September 13th.
I hope you and your husband can go, Jen.
I
really
do too. I think that they have before.
I don't know.
Probably just not as hardcore as, Kratom. I'm almost positive it's got to be banned in some states.
Kava?
Yeah. You know what? Well, no, I take that back. That was incorrect information.
I don't know, but since they're adding MGM 15 or 16 into Cat's Claw, that might be up next. So where's the Cat's Claw Association at?
It's just crazy. And I know people are like, oh, the band's not going to work. They're just going to keep coming out with, more stuff. I don't care as long as y'all don't call it Kratom.
Yeah, just don't call it Kratom.
Yeah. They're going to do that till the end of time.
Don't call it Kratom and we won't be there to attack you. You made it at home then, because I made Kava 2 at home a couple years ago, where I didn't have a cheesecloth, so I used one of my old tank top shirts, my wife beaters, and I used that as the way to squeeze it out.
I used a shirt the last time I made it. Oh. Yeah, it's pretty great. It's just like, I don't know. I think the ambience, the whole vibe of being at a Kava bar it's cool because you're with people you like. It's like going out and socializing without being getting drunk.
Yeah.
It's like a cool.
People weren't slurring their words and they weren't, trying to rub up on you, trying to take you home for the night.
Yeah. Skin started flaking. God. I'll have to make a note of that. Yeah, the Cat's Claw.
Christopher Diotis, what's up, dude? Canna is banned in Louisiana. Freaking, I can't stand Louisiana. Kava is legal in all 50 states.
Okay.
Well, shh. Don't tell KDA that. Kava is I love Kava. Like, it was just such a...
It was. And it was so good. Like, they put all the, like, cream and milk and stuff in it. Oh, my goodness.
I can't even remember the name of the one I got. But one that you got looked like Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
It tasted like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I was in Sam's Club today. I talked to an old friend on massive doses of Lyrica.
Oh, nice.
That's cool. Everything happens for a reason.
You know what? I can't remember what I tried, years and years ago, because when I was on antidepressants, it was like in 2006 and I was on Prozac and so I started off low and then I got to the highest. I think it was 80 milligrams. I don't remember. And I didn't give a crap about nothing in life. From 2006 pretty much to 2009 when I freaking got off it myself, I was like, I didn't care. I didn't care about nothing. There was like major life events that happened and I just sat back like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just got fired from the post office. I don't care. It's like, it's like I didn't have any want to win at anything in life.
Yeah.
And then came my active addiction. But Lyrica, anyway, get back to Lyrica. I think I tried Lyrica. I'm pretty sure that's one of the ones that I tried. And if I remember, I'm pretty sure it was Lyrica. I don't know. But I remember feeling like zaps. Like zaps going through my...
with, I think it was Wellbutrin I got that with. No, I don't remember. I'll try to light it. I won't, different kinds.
Yeah, me too.
And I remember it was horrible. That was the worst because it's like you couldn't do anything to stop them.
Yeah, it was like little zaps going through my
Yeah,
body or
and I
feeling
told
like little
my
spiders crawling up.
yeah, I told my therapist, and she's like, "Oh, well, never. I've never heard." And then my neurologist is like, "Oh, yeah, that's called brain zaps. That means you probably shouldn't be taking that medication." And I'm like, "Well, at least somebody knows about it."
I only took it a couple days and just got off because I was like, good
Yeah.
God. I was like, there's no way I could do that. But
Uh,
here I am, which people want to talk shit on me about. I use kratom for my depression.
yeah.
For it's my anti-depression.
Effexor. That's the one.
Oh,
Effexor. I was obviously the generic. I can't remember what that one was called. Yeah, Effexor did that to me.
if it's working for you, Melly Mel, do it. It's like I'm just telling you my experience. Like it just felt. I was like, good. What in the world is happening?
Well, I mean, it does say she gained 48 pounds. But yeah, you know what? That's my thing too. Like, because I was on gabapentin for 6 years. I think I was taking 3,600 milligrams a day. It was like 800 milligrams 4 times a day. And dude, I still have memory issues from that. Like, there's parts of during that time, like I don't even remember. Like, my brother will say something like, "Dude, I don't remember that. Like, I don't remember that." It's scary, and so if something works for someone, I say take that, whether it's pharmaceuticals, whether it's natural, whatever is quality of life is what's important.
Even if 7-OH works for you, I don't care you take it, but just know
Yeah.
that what you're taking is what's dragging
Yeah.
my
Be
shit down.
realistic. Right. Be realistic about, I mean, realistically, if you're taking something like a 7-OH, it's not going to be around
Yeah,
forever. I mean,
yeah.
realistically. I mean, it's silly to be in, denial. Maybe you're in denial. I don't know. Maybe it's because a lot of people were able to say kratom. I don't know, but the safety is not there.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Yeah, Jeff. I went through like so many different kinds. I even had like a blood test to see, like, I guess what DNA. I don't know. I just said, this ain't even worth it. Check the site. Yeah,
Man.
a lot of those what is it, SSRIs? I
Mhm.
almost said SSDI. Those SSRIs, though, man, I tell you what, those aren't very fun to come off of either. If you
No.
go cold turkey, they're awful.
Yeah. I mean, when I quit that Prozac, in 2009, I did go through withdrawals. But then again, I had my opiates to get high, so I pretty much numbed myself through the withdrawals.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like like losing small amounts of time like that. That's scary though. Like if you're not, you're completely sober and you're not drinking and you're like, I don't remember that. Like there's still stuff I don't remember.
I dreaded going to work till I started crying. Yeah, I bet.
Hey, Spider.
Laura, do you have memory? Do you have a memory at all, Jen? I took that about for 18 months. I've never recovered.
Yeah.
She's
I
talking
mean,
about
there's
GABA.
still stuff I don't remember, which is sad because, that was when, my kids were little and, there's just stuff I don't remember. And
And for me, it was I don't have memory of, because I was addicted to the pain pills, benzos, and muscle relaxers. So there's gaps of memory that is missing, and it's like nothing I can do about it because I did it to myself.
Well, and I had to come off on the gabapentin cold turkey after I got pregnant with my youngest. Dude, that was one of I'd have to say those are the worst withdrawals ever. I don't even remember. I don't even think I slept for like
Man.
8 months because I was coming off everything. But that one was, oh, that was awful. And when I went back to the pain clinic, that's the first thing they wanted to put me back on. I said, nope, not doing that. Yeah, I say that too. But everything
Same,
does
bunny.
happen for a reason. Like I feel like I appreciate it more because I found it after going through hell.
Yeah, I mean, if
Oh,
Zoloft and kratom works for you, you know, just based on what we've seen on the deaths, don't mix Benadryl with it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a doctor, but you know, based on our advocacy, it's the combination of an antidepressant, kratom, and Benadryl.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I cannot stand, the anti-kratom crowd acting like we can just go find something. It's like, why can't we just take it's safe? Why can't we take this?
This is what I be saying too, you know, my TikTok commenters. It's like, you know, especially my July 4th video that went stupid viral. Oh my God. It went
Laura,
crazy
look at
viral.
this. This is so true. Misty is my
Oh my
memory.
God.
I know. She's such my memory too.
You know, we all work together as a team. So what I can't remember, you remember. What you can't remember, I remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, we work as one. But yeah, so that July 4th video that has over, I think it's like 320,000 views now. So the comments on there, it's like, if my comebacks would be, if I went to the doctors and I was taking medications, would you be applauding me right now?
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's like, I choose to take a leaf that helps me with my chronic pain, anxiety, and depression. You know?
It's like, 2 years. So you found your spiders found their, what do you call it? Recipe.
Oh, okay.
It helps. Everybody has a recipe that goes with their body chemistry.
Yeah.
Why do people pick on us because we choose kratom instead of the other crap?
Yeah.
It's pushed by doctors.
You know, I'm not going to diss whatever you take from the doctors. I choose to not go to the doctors for my ailments because I had already went that route. I closed that door. I closed that chapter of my life. You know?
Yeah, the comments. Dude.
I know you see him, Melly Mel. I know. You be over there helping. I love that.
God, it's crazy. Some days on social media, it's like you almost lose faith in humanity. How are we ever going to survive any longer if people say the stuff they say? It just doesn't make sense.
Man, especially the 708ers. I am walking away from a whole bunch. Like, I know it's going to get worse, y'all. When August gets around, hell's going to, the doors are going to break wide open.
Yeah.
You know, it's leading up to that, you know, and like I said, I've been where they are at now. You know, when I got fired from my chronic pain management in April 2019, yeah, I freaked out, you know, but I already had drug dealers on the line anyway. You know, I was a drug dealer and already associated with drug dealers. So I was, you know, but back then it was still oxys, you know. So I was doing that, and then you know, graduated, went to the streets and did cocaine, you know, and then I started doing immoral things to get more cocaine, you know.
Tracy,
can you please make a video of all the times Dean said it was just natural leaf kratom and then finish it with no? Oh God.
And yes, Spider, I agree. Suboxone is terrible. I mean, it rots people's teeth. I feel so bad for all the people that have
got duped too.
Got duped, yeah. Got duped into bupe. I can't say it.
Duped into bupe.
There you go. Duped into bupe.
That's Claudia's tagline.
I love that. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, they're gonna try to clear out their inventory, and if they can't clear it out. Yeah, I mean, if they can't clear it out, then they're going to sell it under the table. We already know how that shit going to go down.
Yeah, I've already seen stuff like comments about that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't agree with possession.
No.
But I think anybody that sells that shit, should get,
So however the American Kratom Association could do to work that to where, you know, they can get at least possession out of the language, yay, yes, do it. Let's do it. I will advocate for that. I will not advocate for 7-OH. You can miss me with that bullshit.
Yeah, I think it blows my mind how people get put on Suboxone or methadone to come off of.
Kratom.
Yeah, just like uh instead of just being kind of uncomfortable for a few days.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now you're just gonna be going through months and months,
I
years.
always say that's you shooting a squirrel with an elephant gun when you do that. Like, how dare these doctors do that to people?
Yeah, the SR 17018, I think it is.
It's a research chemical. Yes, it is.
Yeah. And supposedly people have been saying it resets your receptors. And I'm not really completely sure exactly how. I know that it's I guess it gives your receptors a break or something so that they can, or hypothetically that's what it is supposed to do.
Yeah.
But my thing is, and supposedly there's no euphoria at all with it. But my thing is people using that to increase their dosage later on,
Yeah.
and something bad happening that way, or not knowing how to take it because there's no dosage recommendations or anything, and it's messing with your opioid receptors. Like, that can't be a good thing, and I think it's a full blown, like, it's a full attaching agonist to your opioid receptor. So it's like, I think it's even a dual.
So you're saying that it's like people are using it to reset their receptors and then they go back to using again.
Right. And then
kind of like what people do. Some people do with Suboxone. They'll divert their subs, so they'll not take any for like 2 or 3 days, and then they take it again, and they feel that initial high.
Yeah, I don't think that they should be prosecuted right now, but I mean, if they keep selling it after the fact,
yeah, they keep selling it after a warning, get prosecuted. Because that means you're only caring about the money. Well, they already only care about the money anyway. They don't care about the user at all.
If they're still selling it at this point, yeah. Because I mean, I've a lot of smoke shop owners that me and Missy have talked to have said they saw what it did, and they refused to keep selling it at their store.
Yeah,
and so yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I don't know enough. First of all, I don't know enough about it.
You know what?
If it's good or bad. I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. But you know what? The good things that people have told me about it, dropping their coupon codes off in my TikTok comments.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, what the? Get the hell out of here!
It's people that have monetary gain from it in some way. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're selling it on TikTok. You see it all over the place. And I get it. Like, if I was trapped and I thought, and it's expensive too. Like, it's let me buy a little bit. I don't know. It's expensive. So for people to make monetary gain and say how well it helped them, I just don't know how much I believe that.
Yeah, same.
I just don't know.
Because it's
and
like
a lot of them are like the ones that keep going back to 708.
Yes.
The whole,
Don't name drop.
Relapse.
Yeah. Because what we saw was at first we saw occasional people talking about SR, right? And then we saw an influx of creators that were promoting it because they have a coupon code, and it's like, we know what happened there.
Dang, dude. They're like, there was $5 here in Tennessee at gas stations for a
pack of 4? No, I think you talk about 7OH.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought. A pack of 7. Gotcha.
Yeah.
$43 gas station for 4-pack. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yes, dude. That oxen ad that's been going around, dude. Yes.
That's MGM.
And it's like, I saw one that was like heaven. It was like,
what?
I don't know how to describe.
Like the Dean Francis.
Yeah. And it was like, get away from 7.
Yeah.
The 7. And I clicked on it, and it's like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place. I mean, I was playing a phone game and like I started watching, you know how they make you watch ads,
Yeah.
and it was freaking 7-0. I'm like, dude, I can't imagine sitting here and buying this stuff not knowing what in the world. Yeah, Cat's Claw.
Yeah, no, it's MGM too.
They just throwing all kinds of stuff in it.
Next thing you know, they're gonna go steal turmeric. You know, they're gonna go steal black pepper.
Yeah.
They're gonna go steal maca.
Yeah. And if you go on these websites, like, and you really try and find what's in it, they don't have it listed. No, I think it said a botanical byproduct.
Yeah, or proprietary blend.
Uh-huh. It's like, that's just wrong, though.
Yeah, the new products that are hitting the smoke shops is claimed to be Cat's Claw, but it's MGM 15 or 16. I don't remember.
Yeah, and I mean,
which
I've heard
ugly
of that,
stepsister.
Aquama or whatever, but I hadn't seen that yet. I've just heard about it. I haven't seen it. So I'm sure that's coming. But again, as long as they don't call it Kratom.
Yeah, Tracy, that right there is where the money's talking. The money is talking.
That's insane to me. That's what I was talking about to somebody here in Tennessee, and they were like, well, maybe if it's out of gas stations and stuff, there won't be as many issues, you know, with the ban. And I'm like, yeah. But
I don't know. That's the other thing where I'm mixed feelings on as well, because my journey didn't start at a gas station, but it started at a smoke shop, you know.
Yeah.
But I can see somebody who's suffering from like illicit fentanyl, you know, going through withdrawal or something like that, and they hobble into the gas station, you know, to go get some cigs or some energy drinks or something to try to help with the withdrawals. And they happen to glance over there and see the kratom sitting there.
Yeah.
You know, I could just see that starting someone's pathway to recovery, even if they're not, you know, not trying to find, you know, right then
maybe
and there.
They're just trying to stave off withdrawals for right now.
Yeah, for right now.
Yeah.
But you know, the initial consumption of it would plant that seed.
Right.
You know? Because like for me, I was in that active addiction cycle for so many years. And when my brain shut the fuck up the first time I took kratom, you know, that's huge for you to not be going a million miles a minute. You know, you're high right now. This is what active addiction is like. You're high right now, but you're already counting your next dose. You're already counting your next snort, you know?
Yeah.
Because I would snort my pills and I would look at the clock and I'd be like, yep, in 2 hours. So say like it's 12 o'clock, 2 p.m. You know, I already got my shit crushed up, ready to go. You're already wanting you're already contemplating your next hit. That's what active addiction is like.
And I mean, you know, if you buy something at the gas station, I don't know. Like, it's silly to think that you can't get anything. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. And I think a lot of it is the media.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, media is it doesn't matter if it's whatever, as long as they can sell a story and get those clicks and those likes. You know, that's all in the end, that's all it's about. The headlines.
Let me see that comment. Spider. Oh, okay. So was it easy was it easy for you to go back to kratom after you went through your little bout of synthetics? Was it easy to transition back? I always ask people, like, this is how I gather this is my survey information.
Well, I've heard people say that the powder, they had to wait like 3 or 4 days for it to even work, you know?
Yeah. You know, and the advice, so what I've gathered through my survey advocacy is people will start the powder as soon as they feel like the 7-OH withdrawals hit, or the ugly stepsisters withdrawals hit. You know, they'll treat it like if they were previously addicted to something like illicit fentanyl or, you know, heroin.
This too, like I never, like sometimes like I'll go so long I don't realize I haven't taken kratom until I start hurting, and I'm like, oh crap, it's been like 8 hours and
Yeah.
I've done all this shit and it's like I'm hurting. So it was very easy. Good.
Okay, good, Spider. Yeah, and yeah, Mike. Yeah, so that's the other thing. So, so there's there's like a couple camps here. When people are trying to get off the 7-OH and his ugly stepsisters, a lot of people have success at starting a full spectrum lab tested extract here.
Yeah, because if they're taking a high dose,
Yeah,
you
if they're
know,
taking a high dose, you're just transferring addictions. But so they'll take the lab tested, full spectrum here, and then they'll transition on to the powder within 3, 4, 5 days. Then they'll go back onto the powder. And then you have this camp over here that will take the lab tested natural kratom powder, and they have success with just that.
yeah. I think it's just like one of those things, the whole body chemistry thing.
Yeah. And then you have the third camp that will either get on Suboxone or Methadone, to get off of. I'm not talking about that. Well, yeah, you got the mofos that take it for natural kratom. But since 7-OH is the freaking problem here, you'll have that camp. And they've been successful at that as well. So there are options out there. If you are on 7-OH and you're facing this ban threat, it's not even a threat. If you're facing this done deal of the ban, there are options out here. So you do not. I can't stand reading those comments about, they're just going to go back to the streets. No, there's options here.
And I mean, I get it. Like, I know that, in a lot of people's minds, they're doing essentially an opioid that's not going to, quote, in their mind, not kill them.
Yeah.
Because they refuse to believe that it causes respiratory depression. But,
there's options.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly searching for that, there's another comment I got today, and it's like, the leaf isn't going to be enough for the feeling. And I'm thinking that's the point. The point of kratom is what you don't feel. Your pain is free, your anxiety free, your depression free. There's no more, calling cravings.
Yeah.
Going on.
They're afraid to be physically dependent on something that helps them. Yeah, my thing, they'll be okay with being dependent on antidepressants, or kratom is a huge problem. And that doesn't make any sense. Like, when I became crippled 20 years ago, I finally came to terms with, like, I'm going to have to manage my chronic pain with something for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I choose kratom. I just choose that. So I don't know why it has to be a big deal to be dependent on something. Some people are going to have to be dependent on something. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, not everyone goes to the streets.
Most of these people have never dealt with drug addiction before.
Yeah.
Who would they go to on the street? I know you can't just walk the street and say, "Hey, yeah." No. I mean, I used to. There was a point in my life where I did.
Yeah.
It wasn't illicit fentanyl wasn't really popping off out here yet. I'm telling you, I did some immoral shit, y'all.
Hey, man, you got any fetty?
I would walk up to random strangers like every city has like their whole Skid Row type shit, right?
Yeah.
And I even took my ass down there and was just walking the path and was like, "Hey, you got any pills? You know anybody that's got any pills?"
Usually, no. They be looking for people coming to kind of scope it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's insane the stuff I did. Insane.
Or the ones I can't stand that, Bunny, dude. I cannot stand somebody be like, "What's the problem? Just smoke some weed." Well, first of all, that does not work for everybody. It does not work for me for pain at all, period. Like, and plus, dude, I don't like smoking weed. It makes me feel horrible. I just start thinking about life and death and just stupid stuff. And it's like, why can I not just not do that?
It's like
it works for you, but it doesn't for me.
When I was in active addiction, I would use weed as my in-betweener. It did not help with my chronic pain at all, but it helped me get high enough to where I forgot that I was even going through withdrawals, And then after I found kratom, I was still smoking weed. I still believe in both plants. It's both plants is why I'm alive today. But then I feel like it was a couple years ago. I fried my endocannabinoid system by doing those dabs, which is just like 7OH is frying people's brains right now. I fried my endocannabinoid system doing wax and dabs and all that stuff. So now I have to smoke weed that has a higher CBD content in it, CBN, CBG, all those other different, things in there. And I very rarely smoke weed. Like last time I smoked weed was like last year in July at Champs.
God, I think it's been like 5 years for me. Yeah, I mean, even if it didn't, like, there's still influencers that talk about that shit from like fucking 5 years ago. They're still bringing it up because they know it gets views.
Yeah.
Edibles. Oh God, dude, my husband. Oh my gosh, he ate a whole edible one time. This was a few years back, and I mean, he smokes from time to time. It doesn't really bother him, but dude, it hit him hard. He thought he was having a heart attack. It was his anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
I felt horrible because I couldn't do anything for him. I'm like, you're cool, you're gonna be all right. He's like just sweating. And I think that's the last time he would ever eat an edible. He was like, I'll never do that again. I'll never do that again.
I used to eat edibles all the time too.
Like, dude, we're getting old. We can't even do this stuff no more, man.
But you know what? I credit, because when I burst onto the TikTok scene, I was doing my dabs. I was doing my edibles. I was smoking weed and all that stuff along with, taking kratom. So I felt like it helped me get over that hump to get out there and advocate on TikTok.
Yeah, Tennessee is really fucking everybody over, man.
Yeah.
Because they just banned the THCA. And so it's like they banned kratom, they banned THCA. Like, nobody can make any money selling any of that, Just they shut down a whole bunch of... Hey, Shannon. Shut down a whole bunch of businesses. Yeah. But I've always I think everybody has a friend that like that's all they do is just smoke all day, and it's like, I don't know how you function. I just don't like. Yeah,
like my daughters, but they don't smoke all day. They smoke at night. We used to have amazing weed sessions, amazing. But like I said, I messed up my own endocannabinoid system.
Yeah, that was my husband's first and last time. He's like, I'm never doing that again. Like, every time somebody brings up the edible, I'm like, we start talking about it. Like, he was up for like 3 hours, just couldn't go to sleep, just scared to death. No, it's not.
Texas 10. I was about to say that. The Cat's Claw in health stores is not the same as the one. Yeah, exactly. It's not the same as the one in the head shops. Yep. The 7OH industry has taken over the Cat's Claw in the head shops now. So buyer beware. It is not the same.
Best bet, avoid the head shops.
Yeah. Agreed. Like I said earlier, where's the Cat's Claw Association at?
I just wish I wish I could be like that. I really do. It would be great, but I'm not. I just sit around. I get tired. I eat. I don't do anything but sit around and panic. Maybe I always tell my husband, like, well, maybe one day, when we're old and all our kids are grown up, we don't have any responsibilities. Maybe by that time, Tennessee will wake up.
Y'all can make like those grandmas on YouTube that smoke weed.
Yeah.
You can make some video. Husband and wife, empty nesters, smoking some dank.
Yeah, I've taken Cat's Claw in the past. I actually think I have some, because it's supposed to help with anxiety and stuff. But, that's just like what they did to Kratom.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming in and molesting the molecule.
Yeah. I don't even know how exactly they're doing it with Cat's Claw. I don't know I don't know if Cat's Claw is just slapped on the label. I don't know if it's actual Cat's Claw that's in it and they added the ugly stepsister inside. I don't know.
Or they're just making a potent extract. Who knows?
I don't know. I ain't about to fuck around and find out.
Shoot, I ain't either.
Ain't no way.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna get off of here, and if my little brother watches this, happy birthday, Eugene. I love you.
Happy birthday, Eugene.
I hope you have a wonderful day. I know he skims through it sometimes. I meant to say it in the beginning, and I totally forgot. So
Oh.
hopefully you're watching this part of it. Oh gosh,
Happy birthday, dude.
yeah.
I love your sister Jen. She's like one of the true ones, you know, ones that didn't.
He's like me. He's just a dude.
That was, you know, same with me and my brother, you know.
Yeah. He looks like we look alike. We sound alike. You know.
Ruben.
It's Eugene.
Eugene. Are you wanting a Reuben sandwich or something?
He said didn't mean to say Ruben.
Okay, well, you guys have an amazing Saturday, and you know I can never say if or when. I mean, like we're gonna have Mac on next Saturday or not, because you know every week is different. I don't ask that man until Friday night, you know, because anything can change, you know, in a heartbeat. Because that man gets pulled in all different directions, and I don't care what anybody says about Mac or the AKA. I stand with them.
One of my things, and that's why I love you so much, Misty. It's like my thing is loyalty. Like I won't even change laundry detergent brands if I find something that, like, I'm for real. My thing is loyalty, and you have to have loyalty.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if somebody does me right and they're looking out for me, I'm be loyal.
Yeah.
So yeah,
integrity and loyalty are really big for me, and it's like you ain't got that, you getting gone. I ain't got no time for you. Get the fuck out of here.
See you on the TikTok comments.
All right, Mel.
All right. Thank y'all, everybody, for coming, and we will see y'all again next time.
Yeah, next time.